Live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studio in Boston, Massachusetts, and the Gurkha Cigar Studio in beautiful British Columbia. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Mitchell Santaga.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. My name is Matt Tobacco from SmokinTabacco.com, and I'm joined once again by my very good friend, Mr. Mitchell Santaga, up in beautiful British Columbia. I'm in the J.C. Newman Cigar Studios. Mitchell is in the Gurkha Cigar Studios. As great to see you. How's everything going up there in the Great White North?
Yes, it is beautiful. It is. We're approaching the season of the Great White North. You know, as we mention all the time, I am in the warmest part of Canada, but it still does snow here.
It's still Canada.
It's still Canada. It still does snow up here, but yeah, it's actually been really beautiful this last week. It's been about 40 during the day and clear blue skies. 40 Fahrenheit. That's I think around 10 degrees Celsius. It's between 5 and 10 degrees Celsius, but yeah, just absolutely beautiful days, crisp, clean. I love walking out into crisp air in the morning. It's very refreshing. It feels good on the lungs, and yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's the holiday season. Obviously, last week being Thanksgiving. You know, in our regions where we live, it's pretty cold right now, and it's going to get even colder. But we have a couple of guests with us who live in a much warmer climate, and I can't say that you know, I blame them, and I'm pretty jealous. I wish it was warm year round where I live too. We making their debut to the Smokin Tabacco Show, which is very exciting. They have not been on before. A father and daughter duo, which I think is the first time we've done on the show. We've had father and son. I think we've had some brothers on, but I don't think we've had father and daughter. So this is a first also. Very exciting. From Quesada Cigars, it is Manolo and Raquel Quesada, and I'm going to bring them on now. Hello, Quesada family. How are you?
Hello, so excited to be here, and even more excited that it's a father and daughter situation.
I know. Really special. Really cool.
I know.
Manolo, how are you?
Fine, thank you. We also wake up to brisk weather in the high 80s and 65% humidity.
Oh, twist my arm.
That kind of wakes you up too, you know.
I was
Very warm.
actually down in Santiago last year for Thanksgiving, and I just remember leaving Boston, and it was actually still kind of warm here. Really strange. It was like 50, 60. And so it was like, oh, all right. And then I got to Santiago, and of course it was beautiful. And I came home, and by the time I got back to Boston, it had started to freeze, and it was like, you know, 35 when I landed back in Boston, and I was
Wish
like,
you had stayed in the Dominican Republic, huh?
yeah, it was quite a chill after that heat that I absorbed. It was definitely a shock.
I can imagine.
But no, it's a beautiful place down there. You guys have down there. So, but yeah, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. Like I said, it's your first time. We have a couple of things we'll talk about tonight. But first, I just want to talk about some of the people that help make this show possible. And one of those people is, of course, Two Guys Cigars. That's right, the number 2, guyscigars.com. Head over there to find all of your cigar needs, whether it's cigars, cigar accessories, by the stick, by the box, whatever it is, the number 2 Guys Cigars has you covered. Head over there today. We have guests with us, so of course I'm going to let them go first. Ladies always go first, so Raquel, we'll start with you. What are you smoking with us tonight, if anything?
Oh, well, today I'm not going to be smoking, and I'm really sorry for that.
No, it's
But
okay.
as I said before, I'm a little under the weather.
Oh, that's right.
I've had really rough days, and I'm really here because I appreciate you guys and because I really wanted to be on the show, but my father is smoking.
All right, so Manolo, what are
So,
you firing up over there?
I lit up a Casa Magna 15th anniversary,
Oh, wow.
wow.
Very nice.
and
I
I'm sorry to say I'm having a ball with it.
Very nice.
Yeah, that cigar is a very special one.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Well, thank you for smoking a special cigar with us tonight, and hopefully the rest of the experience will be just as enjoyable too. Mitchell, what are you smoking with us tonight? You must have some Quesada cigars up there in Canada.
I would have been also enjoying,
Oh, wow. That's a
but
Wow.
match.
Look at you.
I also had again as a
Fancy.
second I would have been enjoying this
Oh, the
Oktoberfest as well,
Oktoberfest.
since
Oktoberfest. Yep.
I do
Great.
love a good German beer as well. But yeah, unfortunately I won't be cutting or lighting tonight, but I'll hopefully get to the lounge later on in the evening and be able to light one of these up tonight. But yeah, just some scheduling issues, not being able to make it out to the lounge tonight. So in the bedroom today.
Yeah, no worries. And to round this out, I'm smoking the Casa Magna Liga F. This is perhaps my favorite of the Casa Magnas. It's delicious. This is a fantastic cigar. I had several at my disposal, and I said that's the one I'm going with, and I grabbed it tonight, and I'm really glad I did. It's burning well. It tastes amazing. It's perfect. It's firing on all cylinders tonight. So really happy about that. But of course,
Thank you.
you can't have your cigar without the right cutter and the right lighter. And when it comes to our cigar accessories at Smokin Tabacco, we always rely on the best at SD Dupont. That's right. So we have with us our SD Dupont cutters and lighters. And as always, once again, I have the Defi Extreme in the new matte finish petrol blue that's exclusive to the United States that came out this year. You can find this at any of your local SD Dupont retailers. Don't forget to be exceptional at SD Dupont. So let's get into our show here tonight, which I'm very excited about. You know, we have two people who I think most cigar smokers probably at least recognize, if not know a little bit about, and have probably smoked cigars that have come out of your factory in the Dominican Republic. But, you know, Manolo, I mean, I'll start with you. You know, history, obviously, in a nice way of saying you're the older guy. You obviously have a lot more history and experience in this. And, you know, I prepare for the shows, and I do my research and stuff too. And, you know, I remember you were also part of the hand roll documentary, which was fantastic. And anyone who hasn't seen it, you should see it. Which you talked a lot about leaving Cuba and, you know, that whole time, which I know there was many cigar makers who left Cuba, fled Cuba, to start anew. You guys landed in the Dominican Republic, and if I remember correctly, you guys, I remember you telling the story, and for those who haven't seen it, I'm gonna like kind of bring this up again and refresh. I remember you telling the story of how you guys went to was it the Royal Bank of Canada?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
To
Exactly.
get the loan to start your business in the Dominican.
Yes.
Yes, sir. It was 1961.
And I remember you saying that was how much was that for?
$150,000 with no collateral.
That's right. That's right. And which it, you know, especially today, that doesn't seem like a lot. And it sounded like even back then didn't seem like a lot for what you were trying to do. But that's what you got, and that's what got you started. And you know, the rest is history, I guess, so to speak. But you've had a lot of things happen along the way. You know, I know that your family was originally from Spain, and they came to Cuba. And if I remember correctly, by trade they were bakers. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You are correct.
And it wasn't until someone gifted you guys tobacco or paid you with tobacco?
They paid a debt to the bakery with tobacco, and the elders told the young ones, my great-grandfather and his brother, to take that tobacco and make a living out of it because the bakery didn't have room for them.
Ah, okay. That's quite the
That's
quite
history.
The change. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Now, we have to clarify that in Cuba, we were not cigar makers. We were leaf brokers. We used to buy tobacco from the farms, sort, ferment, pack, and sell as raw materials, mostly for cigarettes.
Okay.
In Spain, France, North Africa, and the Canary Islands. And when we moved to Dominican Republic, we restarted the export business in leaf. We didn't become cigar makers until 1974, when the family decided to start a cigar factory, and I won the raffle to go open a factory in the new free zone in Santiago, June 1974. So next year in June, it'll be the 50th year of the factory working in the free zones in Dominican Republic.
That's awesome. I mean, 50 years. I mean, 50 years
That's
is
awesome.
a long
Yeah,
time.
that's amazing.
Well, I mean, and in that 50
50
years,
years is a
you
lot of years.
that's a lot of cigars made. That's a lot of tobacco. You guys have made a lot of cigars under the Quesada name. Um, you've also made cigars for others such as Ferry Otego, Nat Sherman, before they
Not
closed.
Sherman.
I know that you guys obviously
Yes.
you guys worked a lot with Michael Herklotz, who I know you were on the Cigar Coop show with last night, talking a little bit about your history there, and I did catch some of
Yes.
that show, and that was awesome. And Raquel, one thing I didn't
Let
know
me
about.
let me tell you something. When I started working at the factory, and I was really young, not it was like a little part-time job when I used to go to school. We used to make Romeo and Julieta in those
Oh,
years.
really?
Oh wow.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
We made
you can tell the
Julieta
story.
20 years.
Yeah, I gotta hear that story. So when did you start making it, and how long did you say you made it for?
Wally Frank in New York, Mr. Wally Frank bought the brand in 1978. Well, 1977, really. And he approached me to start making the Romeo and Julieta for him in Dominican Republic. And we made Romeo and Julieta for Wally Frank until 1998, when today Altares, back then it was still Tabacalera, bought Wally Frank and bought the Romeo and Julieta brand. And then they transferred production to La Romana, to the Tabacalera de Garcia factory. So we stopped making them in 1998.
Oh, very interesting.
But for 20 years, we did make
20
the Romeo and
years.
Julieta.
Wow, 20 years. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know that. And that's very interesting.
That's why I mentioned it, because it was, for me, it was, it was like a relevant story that I remember from when I was very young.
And it's obviously an iconic brand name too. I mean, obviously there's the Cuban counterpart, which goes way back, and then of course, the non-Cuban counterpart. Both of them, which are very notorious brands, cigars. Everyone and their mother who smokes cigars knows Romeo. And I didn't know that came out of your factory at one point. That's very interesting.
20 years is a lot of years.
20 years. So
You know,
go ahead, Mitchell.
do you know anyone who's ever kept any boxes of those?
Yeah, any of those laying around?
There are some in the humidor in the factory, and they're now 25.
Wow.
Gosh, more than that, 35 years old now.
Wow.
Cigars older than me.
Yeah, that's true. And that's I run into people from time to time who have these cigar collections, and they have stuff that's like not even made anymore, or it's like something like that where
Yeah.
it was made at another factory that it hasn't been made at for decades now. And I love that stuff because I'm geeked out by that stuff too. I get all excited.
One of the memories that I have from very young too was like the refrigerator at my house, like the refrigerator was full of cigars. Like you open the refrigerator to get like cheese or milk, and it was full of cigars. So
And so Raquel, you mentioned that when you were younger. So when did you really start kind of working? I guess so to speak,
well,
in the factory?
working full time, it was 2000.
In 2000.
Because when I graduated from here in Dominican Republic from the university as an undergrad, and then I went to Boston for 4 years to study some master's degrees, and I worked in a Gloucester Street Cigar Company there too. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know the store at Gloucester and Newbury.
Yep.
So I worked there as a part-time, as I was studying at the same time. And then I came back in 2000, and that's when I mean, we used to go to to the factory during summers when we were in school or at the university, but we were very young. So, it was just, we carried boxes and, like played with the cigars. We went to the aging rooms. We ran in the bales. We always have, we joke about this. Like we used to run in the bales and just like play hide and seek and stuff like that. But it was in 2000 when I started more serious about it.
And since
Because I
Raquel had
already
graduated from
stopped studying,
Boston
so I had,
University, we gave her a very prime office space. Her office was a chair in front of a bale of tobacco. And that's where she kept all her notes and all her,
yeah, there was no privileges.
So
I think
regardless
having the
of the
Quesada
education,
last name, it was not fun.
yeah, you had to start
Better
at the
earn your
bottom
keep.
like everybody else. I mean, that's
Yeah, well,
it's
yeah, my
on
father
par.
always said like you have to know like every single step, and when you get to other levels, then you know what people and like in other places are telling you it's true or it's not true or how to make it better. So I went through every single department. I did wrapper sorting. I did I made cigars. I did, like take care of the aging rooms and the fermentations of the tobacco. We did everything in order to understand the whole process and make it easier so when we are in other levels of the tree,
Hmm.
we know what was going on. And let me tell you something, I have a really good story on the classifying of the colors before going to the boxes to leave the factory to ship. I mean, that is for me was like one of the most difficult processes. I mean, you're standing there the whole day looking to all these colors, and I didn't understand why I had to do that all day. I was like, do I really have to stay here? It's mind-boggling. I don't want to do this. And he was, you have to. And let me tell you something now, when I go through and I pass by, I can see the colors and they pop up to me so easily. And I tell the lady, oh, this color doesn't go there, or this color doesn't go there. Please take it out. Please do this. So I really appreciate it now. But at the moment, it was really difficult, because it was like, why do I have to be here the whole time? Why do I have to be here the whole day classifying all these colors? It doesn't make any sense, you know? But at the end, it really pays off.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, a lot of the companies, as you guys are very well aware, a lot of these are family businesses, and a lot of them are multi-generational. I mean, I know down in the Dominican, you got the Fuente family,
Yep.
you got so many families. There's you
EPC,
guys, you got the
yeah. La
Carrillos,
Flor,
I mean,
yep,
La Flor Dominicana, the Gomez family, all
the count.
multi-generational families.
yep.
Kellner's, yeah.
The Kellners.
The Kellners, exactly.
And so that's what makes the business so special and different than a lot of other industries. And we talk about this all the time. But I mean, this is kind of what makes it special. It's a skilled business. It's a family business. It's a business that's always it's handed down. And the story's always the same. And we've had so many different people on the show before. We've had this conversation so many times, and it's funny because the story is always the same. And I think that, and it's not a bad thing. I think it just
No.
continues to speak to the importance of the process, Raquel, like you were saying, and it just continues to illustrate and paint that picture of what makes the small little industry of handmade premium cigars so special. And we make the jokes, but it's like, yeah, you started at the bottom. You went to school, you came to the U.S. You went to Boston University, which is a great school. And you come back to the Dominican, and you're sitting in front of a bale of tobacco with a notebook, essentially, and that's it. That's what
Exactly.
you got. And then you're
That was
sorting
another
wrappers.
another process of understanding too. It's like what is going on?
Matthew,
Now,
it took me 27 years to have a bathroom in my office. So she considered a bale and do that as her office.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Now,
Well, I think I was
many?
really privileged though, to still be very, very young or as a child to remember like the warehouses and the bales and the factory and how we like I had like, the opportunity to grow together with all the processes and the factory per se. So I'm very privileged. I was very privileged, you know, to like where
But
I
Matthew,
stand now, everything that I went through, now it's a good experience.
you have to remember, Matthew, that tobacco and cigars have certain processes that cannot be altered or violated. So patience becomes a necessary tool to work with tobacco and cigars. And if you don't learn to respect those times and those moments, then you've wasted your time. And you can only do that by being bored all day, by changing tobacco bulbs, or by casing tobacco, or by sorting colors, or by making cigars. And you have to learn all these little things so the big picture fits in as it should be.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces. That I mean, like I said before the show, last year I was down in Santiago and I was in a factory and I got to really see that process completely. And I was only there for a couple of days. You know, you guys do this every day. You know, and for me it was overwhelming because I had always heard, what it's like and the things that happen in the factory. But when you actually see it, especially as an outsider who does not do this every day, it's very overwhelming. It's very there's a lot to it, and to see folks
All
such
the
as both of
details.
you, who just know that process. You're in that factory every day. You're watching everyone and seeing, is everyone doing the right job? Like Raquel said, like now you walk by the sorting and you're like, nope, that's not right. That we got to move this
That's not
around,
right.
and that is an acquired thing. I mean, it's just the time that you put in and over and over and over again and learning it, and then it becomes a second nature to you. But ultimately, in this business, Manolo, like you said, I mean, you can't rush things. Things have to be done a certain way, and you have to respect the time. Um, it's what do they always say? There's 300 hands that touch a cigar before it gets to you, and I'm sure Raquel, especially for you, when you were younger, and Manolo, when you in the family, first started making cigars, probably even more so for you. When you first start making cigars, it has to be intimidating. Um, you know, having to go through that and learn those processes and set up how you do things and figure out how things are supposed to be so you can make a good cigar to sell to people. It must be quite a lot to take in, and then be consistent with it over time.
That is the main word, consistent. Yes, we talk about quality all day long, and quality is very important, but consistency in quality is the key to the whole thing. You can't just be good one day and not so good the next day. You have to be good every single day. To the best of your abilities. We're not saying that we're the best or anyone's the best. To the best of your abilities, you have to be there every single day and be consistent about what you're putting out. Because remember, every cigar we put on the table has our name on it.
Yeah.
And the Fuente has her name, and Carrillo has his name, and so on and so forth. We have to have pride in what we put forth to the smoker. And we cannot ruin that moment that the smoker is willing to engage, to enjoy himself. We cannot be the culprits of ruining that day. So we have to make the best that we can so that that moment becomes an experience to be remembered and a moment that the gentleman will appreciate or the lady will appreciate and have a very good time with a sensorial adventure that has all sorts of dimensions and all sorts of different moments as you're smoking a cigar. So we have to be very careful to put a cigar that will accomplish that goal that we put forth to the cigar smoker. So
I
yes,
think
consistency is very important.
the Casa Magna 15, speaks volumes to that. Obviously you guys have, like I said, coming up to 50 years, but a brand like Casa Magna, hitting some major accolades. And, there's always that story of, the big climax of a brand and just the fall off of quality and consistency from those brands. But Casa Magna holding on for years, and it being also, I think the Casa Magna Colorado Robusto was one of, if not the first ever Quesada cigar I ever got to try up here. In 15 years of this brand out, and it
Well,
still performing so well is time and testament to all that.
Awesome.
well, you
I was
make my
gonna say
evening,
that.
so we're done. Thank you.
And
But in my
now talking
experience,
about that 15. Oh, go ahead, Raquel.
I'm sorry. I think I'm a little behind.
Oh, is the delay?
Nothing. I was gonna say really quick that my father is very humble, but I'm gonna say something that in my experience, every time somebody tells me your cigars are, the quality and the consistency, I've tried this cigar 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and I try it now, and it's the same. I always have that little voice in my back of my head telling my father's voice saying the quality is important, but the consistency is always important too. So, it kind of relates to that. So,
Oh, it's very true. I mean, you go, you buy a can of Coca-Cola and you open that and you drink it, and you fly, to the other side of the country and you buy it in a different store and you open a can of Coca-Cola, it should taste exactly the same. And it's the same
hmm
concept. You put a product out, and you know what? You have that Coca-Cola in 2001, it should taste the same in 2008, and
exactly.
2015, and that's. And it's easier to do in some industries and it's harder in others. And I would say, in this
Yeah.
industry,
And ours is
it's
very
harder
hard.
to do. I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about organic leaves and the process that they go through, then making the cigar, and then aging the cigar, and there's so many variables. Um,
hmm
Mitchell, you were gonna say something.
Sorry.
What were you gonna? No, that's okay. That's okay.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, I was just gonna say, obviously coming out with the 15, it's probably taking the essence of the original Casa Magna, which is still made. What kind of differences coming into blending this cigar did you want? I assume Manolo was at the head of probably blending this, but I'm sure Raquel, you had a lot of input into it. What were the things that you were like, what essence did you want to capture, and what did you also want to change about almost modernizing the blend? Because I have smoked the 15 already, and it definitely has that touch of that more modern feel compared to where cigars used to be 15 years ago. Yeah, do you want to
Well,
talk about them and all?
I'm a firm believer in balance. I am a firm believer in equilibrium. And a cigar has to be balanced, has to have a little intensity, but enough intensity to allow you to enjoy the other flavors that the smoke can provoke in your palate. So when it comes to intensity, I am more of a mid to a little higher intensity, but not really high intensity because to me, that is a one track deal. If the intensity is so strong, you cannot enjoy the rest. It's like putting peppers on food. If you overdo it, all you're tasting is the hot sauce. And I tell people, if you're going to do that, drink the hot sauce out of the bottle. Leave the food alone.
I
That's a
think,
funny analogy.
Mitchell, you hit the words. We wanted to make this 15th anniversary a Casa Magna style because we're commemorating the Casa Magna Colorado. So it gives you a little bit of that resemblance, but with a more modern, style, market wise and what's going on in the industry. So, like the strength, the balance, as my father said, but always like, even though it's a different smoke, it kind of takes you back to the Casa Magna, Colorado.
Yeah, in the Casa Magna, like Mitchell said, probably perhaps one of the most important brands you guys make. Um, that Casa Magna 15, obviously being a celebration, extension or commemorative, that helps really celebrate that brand. And cross a milestone, so to speak. You know, last year, I think it was last year, we saw the Manolo 75. That was last year, right? Yeah, that was last year.
Yep.
Which,
Last year.
which again, I mean, that was a great cigar too. And
Well,
I
but
know
that's a special thing.
that was special.
No. That's the only thing is like he blends that on his own taste. If you like it, it's fine, and if you don't like it, you're good to go.
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned that, Raquel, because, you know, as cigar makers, you know, you guys obviously blend cigars. You have your own palates, but you also have to think about, you know, you make a cigar that you're going to sell and bring to market. You know, who's going to buy it and enjoy it. So, do you often find that when you are working with tobaccos, when you're blending cigars, you know, do you find that, you know, you make cigars that, or are there any cigars in your line, which I'm sure there are some, that you've made where personally on your palate you don't love them, but they're great cigars and you know that other people will love them?
That's very true, Matthew. We cannot make only cigars that we like. That would be defeating the whole purpose.
Right.
We deal with individual palates in the market. So we have to make blends that have enough spectrum to appeal to a larger number of smokers by the sensations that the smoke will provoke in the palate. And if you have a wider range of possibilities, you can please a lot more people that way. If you make it a narrow field, then you are keeping smokers away from enjoying the product, the blend that you're making. So yes, we try to blend to make it amenable to the larger number of smokers possible. And sometimes we do make blends that are not the ones that we love to smoke every day, but we make them because these are cigars that are great, that will smoke great, and will appeal to a different sort of parameters in palates in the market.
So I like to try to ask difficult questions when I can. And if you don't want to answer, I understand. But out of the cigars you make, which are personally your least favorites? Personally.
My least favorite today are the ones that have a lower range of intensity. My palate at my age requires a little more intensity to allow me to enjoy the smoke. So blends that we make that are a little milder is the word that is used in the market. I usually don't go to those.
Yeah. In my case, I really enjoy them all, but I'm more on the medium side. So I like them all. I enjoy them all, but when I'm gonna smoke the ones that I prefer, I would do more a Casa Magna Connecticut, a Quesada 1974, the Liga F. It's my top. The Colorado is beyond my understanding.
Very fair
Yeah.
answers from both of you. I'll give you that. Very fair.
We
But again-
practice this every time, Matthew. You know?
Oh yeah, I'm
No, I'm
sure
kidding.
you do. I know you guys are not new to this, so this is you know you have some experience doing this. But no, very very fair answers. You know, obviously we have people who have already commented on 50th. And you know, I know that you guys have had there was the 40th anniversary, you had the 70th anniversary, and like I said, I already there was some comments. I'm kind of not in touch with the comments tonight just because I have some other stuff that I'm doing, but I did see some people wondering what the 50th cigar will be. People are already asking questions on that.
Oh, that has been a very tough project. But it's going to be a very interesting one because we have tobaccos that are very old from inventories that we have had. So it's going to be very challenging.
Okay, very interesting.
And it's going to be, the 50th is going to be a cigar that we have never made, a taste profile that we have never made in our 50 years in the factory. I'm very excited about it, and it has a little intensity to it, but enough intensity to wake you up, but allow you to enjoy the cigar as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is this
That's
something?
coming. That's coming up in Pro Cigar. It's going to be released at Pro Cigar. So if you're going to be
Oh,
around the Pro Cigar Festival in February, you're going to have the chance. Come to our factory, and you're going to have the.
now fully commercially, is it going to make its full formal debut to the market at PCA in March?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And that's the other thing too. I mean, we've talked about this with a couple of manufacturers, and everyone kind of has a little bit of a different answer. With that trade show moving up, has that affected any of your projects that you had scheduled in a certain timeline for whatever, or has it really been not an issue at all in the way that you're going to debut the stuff you're working on and release for 2024?
No, we knew that the PCA was going to change the dates, so we started getting ready for it way before it happened, so we could be on time for the March convention in Vegas.
Yes. And let me tell you
But
something.
no,
My father went to Vietnam. I don't know if you knew this.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he went
I'm
to
sorry.
Vietnam. So everything that you went to Vietnam, so everything in my personal and business life has been ruled with that type of orientation. So yes, we were very, very, very ahead of the PCA in March.
Well, that's good. That's good. You guys are in a good position then. I have a question here that I'm gonna bring up on screen. There it is. How do you know if there is a cigar that you may not enjoy, but other customers will like? Do you have a panel of people who taste the blends?
we do. It's an internal panel. We don't bring people from the outside of the factory, but we do it in the factory, and we have 5 people that sit with Raquel and I, and there's 7 pallets there. And even though they're talking to me and Raquel, so they're a little shy at times, but we encourage them to be honest about what we're smoking. And sometimes their comments will lead the conversation towards that idea rather than what was originally put forth. So having the interaction between the 7 people that are smoking does give us an idea
A
of
lot of feedback.
where we're going, what's happening.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think that's a process of the manufacturing process that I don't think we talk about a lot on this show, and I don't know how many times it gets brought up to you or to others, but that whole you guys working on a blend, obviously you yourself, so you're working with it, you work the tobacco, you roll a cigar, you're tasting that how it works together, but then you have to kind of test that blend internally, like Manolo, like you said, like no one from outside the factory, but you still have to test it with other pallets. So you have to get people together internally and test it out, and even then still hope that when you release it to the millions of people in the U.S. and across the world, that it's still gonna hit the right pallets for enough people that it becomes a success. Which I'm sure every time you release a cigar, no matter how great you think it is and how well planned out and how well made it is, there's got to be that sense of I hope this is going to be a hit, you must still get nervous before every product launch. Like, I hope this is going to be good, because I mean, it's hard when you put something out there to the world and to see.
But
What
you also
think.
have to remember, Matthew, that when we're making blends, we're smoking cigars that were just made by the cigar maker. These are cigars freshly made, and a fresh
Right.
made cigar never gives you the right idea of what's happening. So it behooves us to smoke and say, this that we're smoking today, 6 months from now is going to be what we want it to be. And we have to make that decision. And thankfully, we've been right more times than wrong in projecting what we're smoking today to when it goes into market 6 or 7 months later.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to gauge where it's going to be after the aging process. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, which again, I don't know if I could ever do that. Maybe with some time, I don't know, but that's definitely a very important part of the process, a very important skill to have, and I'm sure it's not easy. It might be a little easier for you guys now that you've been doing it, but you know, like you said, taking something fresh and being able to judge like, okay, this is where it will end up when we're ready to release it, and hope that it's on par, and you hope that you're right, like you said. Um,
And we also try the tobaccos 100% alone before doing any startup on a blend because we need to see what do they taste, what are their characteristics. Maybe I want to use this, maybe I don't want to use this, maybe I want to introduce a little bit more of that or that, you know, it's you play around, but you really have to know your tobaccos beforehand in order to make it happen in a better way.
Yeah, I mean, like a chef in the kitchen, you have to know your ingredients before you make the recipe.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's the same concept, and you have to know how all those pieces are going to work together. When you put them together and you let them age and hope that they all marry just right the way you want it to,
No,
when that process is completed. Um,
no.
yeah, a lot goes into that, of course. I wanted to ask you guys one thing before we go to our news segment, which I'll give you guys a break from, and we'll do that, and we'll come back. But I mentioned, and I know last night you guys, like I said, you guys were with Coop last night, and I know you had Michael Herklotz with you, someone who you guys have known for a long time, and you've done a lot of things
Yes.
with. And you've manufactured cigars for Nat Sherman and now for Ferry Otego. Would you say that relationship, among others that you have been, very quintessential to the growth of the factory, the business, over time by expanding your horizons on what you do and further influencing what comes out of your factory and bringing attention to it.
Indeed, having a relationship as we did with the Shermans for many, many years, Joe Sherman is a wonderful man, a most intelligent and passionate individual. I learned a lot from him, and that relationship was always good to our factory. And when Michael came to Nat Sherman in 2012, I believe it was, we had known Michael from the Boston and Davidoff days in New York.
Hmm.
So Michael just fell right into that relationship. We knew each other. We were treat each other as family, and now he is in charge of the Nat Sherman business. So it just fell right in step, and we just continued. And it has been a relationship that has been very good for the factory, not only economically and in numbers, but also in learning and having a relationship that is really meaningful and profitable in not money terms, in people terms, in the way we behave, the way we think, the way we look at things and come to a conclusion. And sometimes we come to a conclusion by giving and taking, and we're able to do that because we know that we're always working for the better goal of everyone. It's not, I'm doing this for myself and I want to do it this way and this is how it's going to be. No, with Matt Sherman and Michael, we are able to sit down and talk about the whole process and the whole idea and come to conclusions that thankfully have been very good for everyone involved.
So in other words, I mean, to you, the value is the relationships, it's not really about the money. It's the relationships that
It's
have to
about
come
family.
first. The rest of it
Of
falls into
course,
place.
if it was only money, it would be a totally different relationship, and it wouldn't be as successful as it has been over the years.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and again, that relationship that you guys have had has been, huge for I think all parties involved. And again, just another chapter in the history of the brand, that's really helped you get to where you are today. And I think it's fair to say you may not be as far as you are today without being able to to have those partnerships over the years that have helped you continue to grow and do all the things that you want to do outside of that, just under your own name. It all kind of works together as one machine. I'm going to take a break with you guys for a second. We're going to do our news segment, and then I'll come back to you. Just so you guys have a quick break. Our news is once again brought to you by Micallef Cigars, featuring the Micallef Black, rated 91 at SmokinTabacco.com. Check it out today. You can get it at the number2guyscigars.com. Micallef Black, it's a blackout. So, cigar news this week. Mitchell, I know you were very excited about this too when this story went out. And this is probably one of the biggest stories of the year that we have covered, something that has been anticipated for a long time, that's been talked about in hushed tones on when is it going to come, when is it going to come. And we now have the answer to that. The Fuente and Padron collaboration, the Fuente y Padron Legends, has begun shipping officially. After being showcased at both the 2022 and 2023 PCA trade show, the long-awaited Fuente and Padron collaboration, Fuente y Padron Legends, is finally shipping. Carlito Fuente told us Thanksgiving Day has promised a very significant date to pay gratitude and tribute to two great legendary men of our industry. And he went on to say that 2 full containers with more to follow have officially shipped. Mitchell, I know this is something that we've been talking about for 2 years now. It's been when's it gonna ship? When's it gonna ship? And we thought, hey, could still be another year away. This year rolled around. Coops had his bet with Abe, and looks like he's gonna cash in on that. But it's finally coming, and just in time for the holidays.
Just in time for the holidays, and I think even in the beginning of the year, a lot of people projected around this time for it to come out. But yeah, like I said, I think it was announced sometime close to 2 years ago, and then at the trade show for 2022, it was officially kind of like people were like, "This is it. Here it is," and then we've been waiting a whole year past that to really get a hold of it. So
yeah, definitely, like I said, probably one of the biggest stories of the year. Very exciting. I had to read this one off. Obviously, this has been something that people have been asking about for ever since it was announced, ever since there was rumblings about it, that it would even be a possibility that there was a project going on between the two, and now here we are. So for those who are lucky enough to track these down and actually acquire them, which I'm sure is going to be probably not very easy, very. I'm sure that they're going to be very expensive too when they do go out. But very special project. I mean, the meaning behind it is everything. The cigars themselves, I mean, I think will speak for themselves. I mean, you're talking about 2 brands that, they've been doing this a long time, that have made a lot of great projects and some really key cigar brands that are out there on the market today. This is really cool to see, and I know that this is not the only one of its kind, and we even saw something similar at PCA this year between Pete Johnson of Tatuaje and, of course, Don Pepin Garcia at My Father's Cigars, where the La Union, which was shown at the trade show, was kind of the same thing, with Pete making a cigar and Pepin making a cigar, vice versa.
Well, yeah. And that collaboration, is even more of a familiar thing, right? Even more of a family-based thing. They're
right.
Tatuaje and My Father are almost one and the same, right? You don't have one without the other, kind of, right? It's just.
And I'll be honest with you. That project, I don't feel like I hear enough people talking about, and I don't, and it's a shame, because I feel like that's going to be a very big deal when it is released. It's going to be very special. I think those cigars are probably going to be pretty great, safe to say. I mean, just based on their history. And I feel like we don't hear a lot of people talking about it. We've talked about it on our shows a couple of times, as we've covered PCA, we've talked about, things that we're excited about, but I don't hear people talking about it a lot, and I'm a little disappointed by that as a cigar fan. Take this out of, on a personal level, as a cigar lover and fan. I'm like, I'm hoping that it gets more attention as it gets closer to release, but I'm surprised I don't hear more people talking about that. It's a little disappointing, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, that's our news this week. So if you want to read more about it, want to get some more information, head over to smokintabacco.com. You can read the article on our website. It's all right there. Let's bring our guests back onto the show. I don't want to leave them waiting for too long. Sorry, I had to fix this. There we go. Guys, thank you for waiting for us while we did that. And I know that we are. I'm watching the time, and we're gonna keep this show close to an hour. So don't worry, I won't go past that. I am very conscious of the time. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys about, we talk about family, obviously, and it's a very recurring theme on this show, and on others, I'm sure. But we talked about father and daughter being here, and the family dynamic. I know that we've talked to a lot of father and sons, and I know how this business can be, and I know what it's like personally to work for a parent in a professional environment, and how that can be. Raquel, would you say that and we kind of talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but would you say that working in the family business, working for your dad and learning from your dad, do you think that your dad was really tougher on you than he was any of the other employees because he wanted you to succeed so much? Like, what's that relationship been like between the both of you? Is I guess what I'm asking.
Well, let me tell you something. In this side of the world, girls are very protected, but my father was very on the strict side, even though he protected us, but he really wanted us to shine for ourselves and teach us everything that we had to know, not in a tough way, but with a tough message. I don't know if it goes through. So we were very aware that he's very strict, very perfectionist. We were always on top of doing things as perfect as possible. I remember in the factory, not in this factory that we're now, but in the other that we were before, there was a speaker phone in the whole factory. And he would go, Raquel Quesada 231. That was the extension. And when you heard that, I mean, the world stopped. You had to run for your life.
You're like, oh no, I'm being summoned.
But let me tell you something. And I said yesterday with Michael, and Michael agreed with me yesterday at the show. Michael agreed with me that even though he was very tough, he was very open to let us do our thing, even if we succeeded or not. At the end of the day, he always wanted us to do the things that we thought they were good and they were going to be successful, even though they weren't going to be, or he knew it wasn't going to be. So at the end, he let us be. So that's important.
I mean, sometimes you have to learn by failing.
If every time, yeah, exactly. That was the lesson. So if every time you have something that you want to create and somebody comes, oh no, that's not going to work, or no, that's not going to happen. I mean, it doesn't encourage you to keep on going. So at the end, we had all these events, all these ideas, all these crazy projects, but he was always amicable to let us be. And let me tell you, we succeeded in many, and we didn't fall, but maybe they were not as successful as others. But he was always there and backing us up to be better.
The bottom line of that conversation is I was young once as well, and I was enthusiastic, and I had new ideas, and I had sometimes crazy ideas, but my elders always gave me the opportunity, my brother and I both, do what you think you want to do, and if you fail, learn and move on. And if you succeed, that's your job. So I use the same approach with the young ones. I said, you have ideas, put them forth, and if they work, great. If they don't work, learn and move on.
There's a famous story, really quick, that I always tell, that one day he was a master blender. I mean, he was the one that did all the blending. So one day, I've been working in the factory maybe for like 5 or 6 years, something like that. So I was still learning because you learn every day, but still in this industry, it's you learned a lot every day. So he tells me what to do. So in the blending process, I changed his blend. So when I put it in his desk, I ran and I went to my little veil phone telling me to come to his office. I was like, oh my God, I am dead. So when I went to the so when I went to the office, he said, "What did you do to my blend?" I said, "Well, I tweaked it a little." He said, "Well, let me tell you something. This is the blend that I like, and this is the blend that we're gonna use." So the cigars came out saying made by Raquel and Manuel Quesada.
Was that like a big proud papa moment for you, Manolo?
Oh, indeed. Oh, indeed. Because it told me that she had put the effort and had been humble enough to learn, and she had the passion, and she had the audacity to change the blend that I had made and put it in front of me. So, yes, I was very proud. That day, I was very proud.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's got to be special for you guys on a personal note too when you have
yeah,
that connection. And Raquel, would you say that was like the moment when you kind of really got that confidence, like, you know what, I can do this. Like
I can do
I'm
this.
gonna be all right.
Yeah,
I think I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
survive.
Yeah. Well, at that moment, I didn't even know if I was going to survive. But here I am.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
at that moment, I was so proud that my being proud overtook my desire to kill her right there.
Well, thank God for
Yeah,
that.
but we had other
Yeah.
good stories too. Like my father never wanted to have the Casada last name in one of the cigars because he thought that it was his last name and it was very, it was a very a lot of responsibility. So we, the young ones, decided that we were going to make a cigar with the Casada celebrating the 35th years of the factory. So Michael came down to Dominican Republic without my father knowing. So we hid him in the back of the factory. We made this blend. We went to New York. We released the cigar without him knowing anything.
Wow, that was probably not easy. I don't know how you pulled
Boxes,
that
And,
off.
and,
bands,
and
blends.
yet she lives.
So let me tell you, we have had good insights in this journey, and
Yeah,
we're still alive.
you blend a cigar, you roll it, you do the whole thing, you make the whole product ready to go,
Bands,
and you launch it. And
boxes,
he has no idea.
no idea.
How do you pull that
Nope.
off?
With the Quesada name on, which is even like risky.
The thoughts going through your mind that whole time is like,
We were in trouble. I was like,
if
oh,
he
we
finds out
are in
about this,
trouble.
we're fucked. I
We're in
mean,
trouble. Yeah, we're fired, like Trump. Fired.
well, I'd say
So
that's
we
probably one.
pulled it off, and let me tell you, like in the first day of the PCA that year, we sold all of our boxes.
That worked
Yeah,
out.
yeah, that worked out. You guys got lucky.
Yeah,
No,
they've
but
been lucky.
but that's awesome. That's again these a lot of the times when we have people on the shows, the things I look forward to, and we ask questions about stuff, and we try to make it different every time. But what it comes down to, for me, as the interviewer, I like to hear those stories. I think that's the most exciting part
Yeah,
of these shows is hearing those stories that are like personal, but they're also related to the business and what you guys are doing. And
of course.
there's such a
No, and let me
beautiful.
tell you something. If there's other young ones coming along, they hear the stories and they say, well, maybe I have a chance. Maybe I can do this. Maybe, it gives them the opportunity.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can't do. I am watching the time. I know we're getting close to the hour here, so I'm gonna wrap up the show soon. But I just first of all I wanted to thank both of you for being here tonight. Again, Raquel, I know
No,
you're
it's
not
been really
feeling well.
fun. I know.
And I wanted to keep it short for you guys too. But But no, thank you for being here. This has been awesome. Manolo, it was great to have you on too. And to hear from you and to pick your brain a little bit, which was awesome. So thank you guys both for being here. It's been an honor to have you both here.
It's been an
It
honor
has
to be
been
here
a
too.
pleasure and an honor for us as well. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely anytime. Guys listening at home, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. And if not, you can always watch us later or listen to us later on all of the podcast platforms. And as always, you can visit SmokinTabacco.com for more news, reviews, and updates from the cigar industry. That's going to do it for our show tonight. Once again, thank you to both of you for being here, and we'll see you next week. Take care.